Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into something I found super interesting. It's this unexpected connection between decluttering and like a healthier you. So we're going to be checking out this article from Spavelous, that health and wellness magazine. Anyway, it's called The Power of Letting Go. Transform your health by decluttering your life.
Catchy.
I know, right? And honestly, some of the stuff they're claiming is, well, that's pretty bold. Like they're suggesting that all the stuff we accumulate, might be doing more than just cluttering our homes. It could be like messing with our digestion, making inflammation worse, even impacting our self-esteem.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know about you, but I definitely feel more stressed when my place is chaotic. Like my brain just can't relax.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It speaks to that mind-body connection.
Right.
A really cluttered environment can actually, trigger our stress response. And then that leads to a bunch of physiological changes that impact, well, everything, really.
Wow. I never realized it went that deep.
Oh, yeah.
It's like our body is interpreting the physical chaos as a sign that something's wrong. So this external detox the article talks about might not be such a far-fetched idea after all.
Exactly. Our external environment really influences our internal state.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. When you clear out the clutter, you're creating space for something new to emerge, physically and mentally.
It's funny because when I have actually managed to declutter a room or even just like a drawer, it does feel kind of liberating.
Oh,
Right? It's
yeah.
not just about having a tidy space. It's like a weight has been lifted.
Right.
And speaking of feeling lighter, the article lists a whole bunch of benefits of decluttering, like increased energy levels, better digestion, which seems counterintuitive,
Yeah.
reduce stress, improve mental clarity, even like a boost in self-esteem.
Wow.
It's like a laundry list of feel-good outcomes.
And when you consider the principles of energy flow, like in Feng Shui, it starts to make a lot of sense.
Okay.
In Feng Shui, clutter is seen as blocking qi, which is this vital life force energy
Okay.
that flows through our spaces.
So it's like clutter is creating a traffic jam in our homes,
Precisely.
preventing that positive energy from circulating.
Exactly.
Oh,
And when
cool.
our qi is blocked, it can lead to feeling stagnant and imbalanced,
Right.
affecting not just our physical well-being, our emotional and mental states as well.
So we've talked about the physical benefits of decluttering and this whole energy flow concept, but there's one area of clutter the article talks about that I'm really curious to dig into. Emotional clutter.
Oh, interesting.
It's like that junk drawer we all have in our hearts, right? Holding on to old grudges, past hurts, regrets. It's like we're emotionally hoarding things.
You've hit on a crucial aspect of well-being that often gets overlooked. Just like physical clutter can weigh us down, so too can emotional clutter.
Yeah?
Think about it, that lingering resentment towards a family member, the guilt you carry from a past mistake, the fear of not being good enough. Those emotions take up space in our minds and hearts,
Yeah.
affecting our ability to, experience joy, connection, inner peace.
That really resonates with me. I'm definitely guilty of holding on to things I should probably let go of.
Sure.
And speaking of letting go, the article actually quotes Deepak Chopra on this. He says, "In the process of letting go, you will lose many things from the past, but you will find yourself." It's a powerful reminder that sometimes we need to release what's no longer serving us to make space for something new. But before we dive deeper into the emotional side of things, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the connection between decluttering and Feng Shui. The article spends quite a bit of time on this, and I have to admit, I'm intrigued. I've always thought of Feng Shui as this kind of mystical practice,
Right.
but the way they explain it, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's all about creating harmony and balance in our surroundings, which in turn promotes harmony and balance within ourselves.
Absolutely. It's about being mindful of how we arrange our spaces, the energy we invite into them.
Okay. For example, in Feng Shui, the entryway of your home is considered the mouth of qi, where energy enters. So if your entryway is cluttered and chaotic, it's like you're sending a message to the universe that your energy is also cluttered and chaotic.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that.
It's true.
I'm definitely going to be rethinking my entryway decor after this.
It makes a big difference.
But seriously, I think it's fascinating how Feng Shui connects the physical and the energetic in such a, tangible way. And speaking of tangible, the article also touches upon the importance of physical detox as part of this whole decluttering journey.
Right, right.
They talk about things like drinking plenty of water, eating a diet rich in fruits and vegetables, incorporating fermented foods for gut health.
Sure.
I guess it makes sense.
If we're talking about creating a healthier environment, inside and out, we need to address what we're putting into our bodies as well.
It's a holistic approach, which is always a good thing.
True.
It highlights the fact that our physical health and well-being are interconnected with our surroundings and our mindset.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here already.
Yeah.
The unexpected health benefits of decluttering, this intriguing connection to feng shui, the importance of addressing both our physical and emotional clutter. But the question remains, how do we actually start tackling all this clutter, both physical and emotional? Where do we even begin? Let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll explore some practical tips and strategies for letting go of what no longer serves us and creating a space that truly supports our well-being.
You know, it's interesting you ask that because I think that first step is often the hardest, which is, just making the decision to start.
Right.
It can feel overwhelming when we think about tackling everything at once.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, start small.
Start small. Okay, so instead of trying to declutter my entire house in a weekend, maybe I should focus on, like, my sock drawer.
Exactly. Choose one small area that feels manageable to you.
Okay.
And commit to spending, say, 15 minutes a day decluttering that space.
Okay.
You'd be amazed at how much progress you can make.
15 minutes, I can do that.
Right?
But then what? How do I actually decide what to keep and what to let go of?
That's where a little ruthlessness can come in handy.
Okay.
As you're going through each item, ask yourself, does this bring me joy? Do I use this regularly? Does this hold true value or meaning in my life? And if the answer to all of those is no, it's time to let it go.
Right.
Donate it, sell it, give it to a friend.
Yeah.
Just get it out of your space.
I love that it's like Marie Kondo meets my inner pragmatist.
There you go.
But I have to admit, sometimes it's not so much about, like, the functionality of an item, but the emotional baggage attached to it. Like,
Yeah.
I have this old sweater I never wear, but it was a gift from my grandmother. It feels wrong to give it away.
You've touched on a really important point, which is that decluttering is as much an emotional process as it is a physical one.
Right.
We often attach memories, sentimental value, even guilt to our possessions.
Oh, tell me about it. I have a whole box of things from high school that I can't seem to part with.
Right.
Even though I haven't looked at them in years.
And that's perfectly normal. The key is to kind of acknowledge those emotions, honor the memories, and then give yourself permission to let go. It doesn't diminish the value or the meaning of the experience. It simply frees you from carrying the physical representation of it around any longer.
That's a good way to think about it. It's like taking a mental snapshot of the memory and then releasing the physical object.
Exactly.
But what about the emotional clutter we were talking about earlier? Like the grudges, the regrets, the negative self-talk. How do we even begin to declutter those intangible things?
Well, that's where practices like journaling and mindfulness can be really helpful.
Okay, so how would that work?
Well, take journaling, for example. Set aside a few minutes each day to just write down whatever's going on in your mind. Don't censor yourself. Just let it flow out onto the page. You might be surprised at what surfaces when you give yourself the space to just express.
I can see how that could be therapeutic, because you're giving those thoughts a physical form.
Yeah.
And then releasing them.
Exactly. And the act of writing them down lets you observe them more objectively. You can start to see patterns, identify triggers, even challenge negative thought patterns that might be holding you back.
So instead of letting those negative thoughts ruminate in my head, I'm going to externalize them and start to gain some control over them.
Exactly.
I like it. What about mindfulness? How does that play into decluttering emotional baggage?
So mindfulness is all about cultivating present moment awareness.
Okay.
It's about noticing our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations without judgment.
So it's about being present with what is, rather than getting caught up in our heads about the past or the future.
You got it. And when we practice mindfulness, we start to become more aware of the stories we tell ourselves, the limiting beliefs that we hold on to,
Right.
the ways we allow our past experiences to kind of dictate our present reality.
I imagine that takes a lot of practice, though.
It does.
I know I'm constantly getting caught up in my thoughts, especially when I'm feeling stressed.
It does take practice, but the benefits are well worth the effort.
Yeah.
And, one of the most powerful tools that we have in our mindfulness toolkit is forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Forgiveness of ourselves and others. It's an essential aspect of emotional decluttering. When we hold on to grudges, resentment, or guilt, we're carrying around heavy weights that prevent us from moving forward.
That makes sense. It's like that saying, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Right.
It's really only hurting us in the end.
Exactly. Forgiveness isn't about condoning someone else's actions or saying that what happened was okay.
Right.
It's about freeing yourself from the emotional burden of the past so that you can create space for healing, for growth, for new possibilities.
Forgiveness, huh? That's definitely something, I don't know, I can be pretty stubborn, especially when it comes to like letting go of past hurts. But I hear what you're saying. It's like carrying all that baggage is just, it's weighing me down, you know?
Yeah, and it's a journey, not a destination, right?
Right.
The cool thing is that even little steps towards forgiveness can have a huge impact.
Yeah, that's true. So as we're decluttering our homes and our hearts, how do we make sure we don't just fill all that space back up with more stuff, physical and emotional?
That's such an important question. And it makes me think about how decluttering isn't a one-time thing. It's about, like, a more mindful way of living.
Okay.
Being intentional about what we let into our lives.
So it's not really about the stuff. It's more about, like, our relationship to it.
Exactly. It's about noticing those patterns, those habits,
Yeah.
the ones that lead to clutter,
Huh.
and then, making different choices that support us.
This deep dive has been, wow, eye-opening is an understatement. Maybe I got a whole new perspective on letting go.
That's great.
We talked about those surprising health benefits of decluttering, that connection to feng shui, emotional clutter, forgiveness.
The lot.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack,
It is.
but it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if there's one thing I want you to remember from all of this, it's that your space really impacts you. I mean, when you create a space that's calm, organized, supportive, well, you're creating the conditions for a better life.
seriously, so well said. It's like creating a sanctuary
Exactly.
in a way. Okay, so as we wrap things up, I want to leave you with this. If our surroundings really affect our health and happiness, like this article suggests, what little changes can we make today to create a space that really supports us?
Good question.
Could it be finally tackling that junk drawer, letting go of a grudge, or even just taking a few deep breaths in a clean, clutter-free room? Something to think about. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and declutter our microphones for the day. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep letting go of what no longer serves you. See you on the flip side.